Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, and or night. Welcome to the stream. My name is Steampunk Fiend, and welcome into the last 2 weeks of July and our wonderful event of the season, Rainbows in July, as we are getting ready to raise money for Rainbow Railroad. I hope you all are excited for 10 days across 2 weeks of art coming together and relaxing and hopefully raising money for a great cause. And if not, we're at least going to talk and we're going to inform each other and have a great time. So I hope you're all excited. I'm excited to be here. We're going to be going for roughly 2 hours, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less. Hopefully not a little less. I'm hoping to go for 2 hours. But it's going to be a day filled with art and explanations and a lot of good fun. I'm excited. So I think without any further ado, let's hop into this and let's talk about what's going on before we get started with art. I might have to. You guys get to see a little bit of sauce behind the making. This is today's thumbnail, and I had to get that working. You know what? I just realized I didn't actually put a message up in chat, so let me get a pinned message going really quickly here. I'm fiddling with one of my cords. It's got a retaining little strap on it, and I was trying to make sure that stayed where it needed to be. Okay, let's think about this. Happy Rainbows in July. Day 1. Yatta! You're raising money. Awareness. I didn't spell awareness right. Can you believe it? Rainbow Railroad. Dedicated to helping IA plus folk. Check out the campaign here. Okay, man, let me tell you, typing out messages in my little chat thing can be tough. I'm actually going to say donate here. Cut itself off. I gotta fix that then. We copy this message here. Shoutouts to Mega Man. We're listening to actually no, sorry, Castlevania. This is Burning the Clock Tower from the Castlevania Dracula X remix soundtrack. This is by Gario. We're gonna be listening to a lot of OC remix songs throughout the week because they're usually generally pretty good about being fun. And they're really easy to put up as a radio. Let me see here, make sure I get this right. Oh, dude, it's gonna be tough getting this to work here. Copy. Okay, there goes that one. Had to get that fixed. And that message there. Oh yeah. All right, awesome. So I think we're ready to go. Let's chat a little bit about Rainbow Railroad. Rainbow Railroad is an organization that seeks to help queer folk who are in dangerous situations, whether it be in the country of their origin or wherever they happen to be staying, and their goal is to help those LGBTQI plus folks and getting them into safer situations by either giving them support or giving them a pathway and resources to move, entirely relocate. They've done a lot of good work over the years. They started in, if I'm not mistaken, they started really early on in the 2000s. I'd have to get the exact date, but over the course of their history as an organization, they've helped over 19,000 people, which I think is fantastic. And I'm just giving that number without a piece of emphasis because I'm forgetting if it's the relocate or if it's just overall help. Okay, here it says they were founded in 2006. I had to get that exact date. I was like looking for that. So we'll talk about them more as the week goes on, and I'm gonna write up some more stuff as we go on. But I'm really excited to hopefully put on a good show for them and in support of them. Words are hard, if you can believe it or not. So as we're working throughout these next 10 days of stream, we're gonna be doing a lot of art because I wanted to make Art Fight kind of an interesting event this year where I could hopefully raise money and support people rather than just have it be all about me and the art I'm doing and stuff, right? So I figured this was the best way to do that, to involve an organization and stream for a good cause. So there's a couple of ways to donate. Biggest one is you can go to the lovely little cause link. Actually, no, it's if you type in RIJ Rainbows in July, exclamation point RIJ in any of the chats, it should catch it. You get our campaign link. So that'll give you more info on what we're doing here, our schedule. I should have probably posted something on Tiltify too. I forgot. It's okay. Maybe I'll do that in a second. But that'll give you more information on our campaign, how much money we're raising. You can kind of go to the cause there. I've included a link back to Rainbow Railroad's own website there if anybody needs that, because it can be kind of hard to find it in the Tiltify website. Hopefully it has a lot of good information for you all so you guys can see what we're doing here and kind of how things are going to go. I didn't really feel comfortable doing incentives this year because I didn't think I was going to have the strength and energy to do it on top of all the art I was going to do it. I knew I was going to get burned out if I was going to do it that way, but I might still maybe offer up like small little pieces of cute art for some folks that donate. Maybe. That's not our promise. So that's one way to donate, going through the campaign link, because there's a great little donate link up, or donate button at the top of that page. On top of that, there is the exclamation point donate, or I think donate's probably the easiest one. That gives you the direct link to donate, and it should be pinned at the top of chat for YouTube, and then the pinned link at Twitch is to the campaign. I did them differently because I'm weird. It's fine. On top of that, the third final way you can donate is through Twitch. Twitch, if I go onto the page, I can probably show it off if I wanted to. Twitch offers the wonderful, amazing new function of donating to charity. So if any of you are on stream lurking, you guys can see that little purple button down below the video feed that says donate to charity. It's in purple. It's usually where the subscription button is, and will take over for the duration of our event. So if you'd like to donate that way you don't have to leave platform. You can just use your whatever card information you have saved with Twitch, and donate that way. I think without any further ado, I got to get to work on doing the art, which means I got to look at my bookmarks. Turn down the music. I do have a bit of a headache today, so I'm hoping I can go for all the time I need to. We'll see. But if I can't, that's okay. We make things work. Okay. So let's get rid of our thumbnail template there, as you guys got a peek behind the curtain. And go for 100 resolution here. Let's go for yeah. So I'm gonna need to expand our canvas here a little bit for this one, but it should hopefully be perfectly fine. You'll also see, as the time goes on, if y'all are in chat, you'll see automated links go out and stuff. Feel free to use those if you want to donate that way. It helps. Or it should work just as fine. Okay, so our first goal today is drawing NARP. I kid you not, that is their name. It is NARP. It's so good. This is by Lazy Regina on Artfight. I'll show you guys an example of what we're looking at here. So this is NARP. This is the reference I'll probably be using for them. And my goal is, I need a specific pose for NARP here. So I gotta get this down, so I gotta look up a reference really quick here. No, it's not this one. Nah. Alright. That's not helping. So I guess I'm going to do this off of pure memory alone. Okay. I'll probably scale this up in a little bit, but I need to get the shape down at the very least. I think I want to kind of adjust this other arm here, position-wise. Okay. We're going to work with this. This will be just a base layer so I can get a body down. And then I'm actually going to probably, I'll do is I'll probably perspective change this a little bit so that I can get a little bit of narrative going here. Whoops. Big ol' wrong stroke there. That was huge. That was so funny. Let me pull up the reference again. I'm really going for this kind of head shape up in the top left, or top right, excuse me. Top left. Yeah, what am I thinking of? Very round, very very minimal and very like adoration filled, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're gonna go like, I almost want to like take a bigger. Yeah, that'll work, I think. This is this song, by the way, we're listening to right now is "Reconstructing Lemons" from the Portal 2 remix soundtrack, and this is by Chimpozilla. Welcome in, Bogues. How you doing? Happy Monday. God, it's so weird. I'm streaming on a Monday. How you doing, fella? Go from like here, I think. Gotta give space for the antenna too, before I forget. I want to have the hair. Good. Just done editing. Got finished done editing a YouTube video. Nice. How'd the editing process go for you? Do I have a picture of how this character's hair goes behind their back? Favorite video done so far? Hell yeah. Congratulations. Goes down about to their belly. Actual reference, but I think we can go a little bit. Oh yeah, cool. I got a picture here of their how it goes down their head. Nice. But to start working on the thumbnail. I hope you have a good thumbnail, or you come up with a good thumbnail, I should say. Okay. So I think I'll have. I want to have the hair swooping down behind, like almost like this. Actually, we'll probably do it like this. Wrong button. We'll need to save this project. Don't let anybody let me forget. While you're still here, if you don't mind me asking, Bogues, is the music radio at a good volume compared to me? You usually have a little bit of audio ducking going on, so it shouldn't actually ever be a problem, but I want to make sure that the music's not too loud to where it's like obtrusive. Audio's great, awesome. Oh, kind of want to do the eyes first here. We'll do face tests. We'll call this layer. That's a decent face for now. I think perspective-wise, I need to morph this mouth a little bit. So we're going to try and do that. Yeah, we'll see. Let me cut this layer and start editing it. That's pretty good. All right, let me put this, let me save this piece really quick. Okay, let's get her antenna in there. Do go forwards. I think we're going to try and do is a bulb front, everything else. And then like a tapering antenna stem. That's actually pretty good. I like that. I think what I'm going to have to do too is I think I'm going to have to adjust the eyeball a little bit here. So let me do that really quick. Yeah, it's better, I think. Yeah, that's pretty good. Drawing a skirt like this is weird. I never draw at this perspective. That should work, I think. Okay, that's the test layer done. I might move these around a little bit. So that's going to be the NARP side of the picture. The next side is going to be a Doza who is not very impressed with NARP ever. according to the lore, which I think is really funny. So I'm gonna try and do like I'm gonna try and come up with something here. I just gotta make sure my brain can put the idea it has on paper. It's always the hardest part. Always the hardest part. Let me read here and make sure I'm understanding anything too. There's a really great reference here of them. Let me show this to y'all here. I think in particular this bottom middle one is really good. It kind of gives me like a pathetic vibe, and I'm thinking if I get a similar perspective going and kind of make the eyes a little more like disgusted, I think I can make this work. So I think this helps me better understand the hair. I think it's very the closest thing I can think of to compare it to is like an afro, right? It's got that poofy. It's got that volume to it. That's what the word I'm looking for. So we're gonna go for hair volume. We'll see if this works. Okay. Kind of like that neck. That's a decent start, at least. One of the hardest things I have to do here is the pose I have in my head has the arms at an interesting angle, with one of them kind of like back pass behind Adoza, the character, and one of them kind of like leaning on like an imaginary door frame. It's gonna be weird. We'll see if I actually end up using this pose that I got in my brain or not. Who knows? My hand's a little too small, I think, but it's got the right pose down, kind of. That's decent. I might make the forearm a little thicker. I think I should actually. Yeah, just straight up. I'm gonna go for a little bit of a wider neck here. Bit of a less steep of a neck crease that I usually do. That's just how I draw necks. Don't worry about it. Alright, so here comes the actual test, whether or not I can draw a good circle. She's got a bit of a, yeah, she just got a round jawline, not a pointed jawline like Narp. And her head is, okay. That's not terrible, I don't hate that. Oh, I ended up with the wrong, how did I end up with the wrong pen? Weird. Let me read something really quick here on the description, make sure I'm doing this right. I think I'm going to be fine if I do this the way I'm going to do this. Just going to add a little bit of like hair definition. Does Narp have ears? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. And then I'm going to go for Big Poof. How long have I been an artist for? Consistently since about 22. But I've been doing art my whole life, just to varying capacities. None of it was really exemplary, outside of like a few random like bangers here and there. But I've been feeling better about my art as of late. What the fuck am I listening to? Weird. It's a good ear, I think. I think what I'm needing to do here, perspective-wise, I need to bring like the ears in technically a little closer to the head, because we're not going to see them as much in front. It's like that's kind of how I need to do it. And I think I need to really need to expand this other poof here. I think honestly my art started to improve most when I started to sit down and wanted to do my own avatars and stuff because I didn't want to rely on other people and I needed to do my own emotes and stuff. And I was like, all right, so I got to focus on doing this and I could do it my way. I think that's where it really started to pick up, which is nice. I improved decently, or decently fast. Oh, I technically, whoops, I need to adjust what I grabbed there. Took a piece of the actual head with the ear as I was trying to move it. That's better, I think. I think for this expression, I think you really got to pull like the corners of the mouth out, emphasize the disgust. Well, if I pull up the reference here and show you all, these fangs typically staying in the corner of the mouth, except for maybe here in the smile. But I think if I pull the corners of the mouth away a little bit, like it really exemplifies like you're like really going for like a deep grimace kind of thing, kind of what I'm going for. And then I gotta get the lipstick drawn in for a test. I'm not really good at lipstick yet. That's like one thing I really struggle with as an artist. Because lips do not make sense to me in my brain. But, that's kind of fine, I think. Let me go a little smaller here. So we're doing some. So the underlying basis of like what we're doing for the charity couple weeks, is I'm doing participating in an event called Art Fight. If you go into your browser and type in artfight.net, you can see the website and kind of get a gist of what it's about. But if you don't want to do that, the simple and short version of it is people come together every July. They get put in imaginary teams. They look for other characters or characters of other artists, and they draw fan art of that. And by drawing that fan art and submitting it to the website, it constitutes what's called an attack. And as you do more art, generate more fan art for other people, and have fun doing that, you accrue fake imaginary internet points towards winning in your fake imaginary internet team. So it's just a way to come together as artists and draw for other folks and have fun every July. It is really cool. It's a lot of fun. I'm lucky enough to have one of my good friends introduce me to it, and I've been doing it regularly since about 3 or 4 years ago. It has helped improve my art skills as I've participated for sure. That is for sure. Okay. So, and to answer your question about which characters we're drawing, these are two characters from an artist by the name of Lazy Regina. The first one we drew, the one on the right, is Narp, N-A-R-P, Narp. And then on the left here, we're drawing Adoza. These two characters are in the artist's lore. These two know each other. Adoza does not care for Narp, as Narp is both literally physically and metaphorically green, so to speak, like green around the gills. Or not green around the gills, but just green is in like a freshie. So their relatively new relationship together makes it so that Adoza does not really care for Narp. So I'm drawing a very adoring and admiration-filled Narp coming up to Adoza's door and like knocking and being like, "Hello, can I come in?" So that's kind of the idea we're going for here. And as you can see, this is Narp over here in the green. Let me move that around so it's a little easier to see Narp. It's Narp. I do have Narp technically underneath the layer of everything, so let me put that above. And this is Adoza. We'll draw them a little bit here. As well, though, let me take a moment here while I'm not drawing immediately to remind you all that we are raising money this week and next week for Rainbow Railroad, whose mission it is to help queer folk escape persecution in their countries of origin by giving them pathways to safety through resource procurement, counseling, and like guidance through relocating, and just generally be an advocate for better government support of queer people in society. So if you'd like to support, there are several links all over stream. There will be timers going off on Twitch and YouTube and stuff, so if anybody needs a link or wants to share it around, feel free to grab one of those and let them know what the cause is all about. All right, let me get Adoza's the rest of her body in here as well. I think Adoza is wearing a dress almost all the time, I think, right? Yes, she's wearing a dress. Okay. She does have shoulder straps, I didn't realize. Whoops. Or arm straps connecting to the dress. Let me get those in here. I'm not really familiar with how like dresses like these work, so we're gonna give it our best shot. That's not the most important detail of the art anyway, so we'll be fine. I'll have to get... The armband's not going to be visible from this angle, but I probably will want to draw her rings in. I need to get that necklace going. These are really just here to be guidance points so that I can later do other stuff and come in with a finer tooth comb, so to speak, and get all the details in I need to work on. She's got to be standing up right, kind of. Or just a bit of hip definition if I can. I'm kind of terrible at anatomy still, but try. Just a little bit of hip definition as the clothes come down. We're actually going to like disappear most of the line here for the favor of the hip one. Come and bring it a little closer here. Kind of make it flat too. We're not going to see the lower part of her dress because there is a, it goes like way down, like almost like kind of to where her calves are. There's like a cut down below the dress. That makes sense. It's kind of like a V shape in the front at the very end edge of the dress. We're not going to see that, so I think this should just be fine. And then what I do want to do is I want to move NARP. Okay. I'll decrease the opacity on these, lock the whole folder, and now I'm going to draw some background work. So NARP in particular needs ground to stand on. So I'm just going to draw like an imaginary sidewalk going out in the middle of nowhere. Not like so. Okay. I can draw, let me do a dividing line really quick too. I'm gonna make this a single color here as well. Let me turn up. Okay. I should draw like a little floor mat here for fun. Because I'll probably draw these in a different color later. I'm just going to put doormat. And then for her, I need the door to be kind of like... I don't need to draw the whole door, but I need to get a line down in there so I can tell where I need to draw color later. So that'll work for now. You know, that's not a bad arch, but I'm going to make it, yeah, that's perfect there. Yeah, that's good enough for me. Okay, well, we have a moment here. We're technically an hour into stream. So I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit more again about why we're here and give you all some deets about when we're going to be streaming and stuff. So here's our little schedule card. We're going starting today for 5 days. Like I said, I kind of mentioned at the start of the stream, we'll be going for about 2 hours to 2 hours and a half each. Except for on Fridays, I might go longer on Fridays. So we'll be here every day. We're looking to raise $100, and that's kind of our starting goal, as I said there. I have it automatically to set up to raise every single time we hit a $100 milestone. I'd like to raise a $500 total, if possible, but frankly, any amount we can raise does go to do something, or goes to like areas of need at Rainbow Railroad. So it's not like what we'll be doing here won't help. So let me also talk a little bit about what some of those things go towards. So I was lucky and able to talk to a representative here at Rainbow Railroad, and they've been really helpful in getting me some information and stuff. And specifically wanted to highlight that the $500 goal is why is kind of one of the amounts that they can take and directly go put it to something like that it helps an actual individual. Otherwise, like anything else we raise that's lower, kind of would be like distributed amongst other things. But if we raise $500, this gives one refugee access to shelter, food, and medication for a whole month while waiting for relocation. That can secure somebody's safety for a month through Rainbow Railroad's efforts. That's kind of why I'm looking to hit that $500 goal. But like I said, if we don't hit that, that money can still go to Rainbow Railroad's areas of greatest need, so that can be distributed to go help other efforts, and that can go maybe, say for example, somebody else raises $900 and we raise $100, that can go towards providing one-time emergency housing cash as a grant to an LGBTQI refugee, and that can help get them to either America or Canada, and that can be really helpful. So whatever we do here, if we can raise some money, it'll go towards a good cause and go to areas of need that Rainbow Railroad can then help other folks. Do you know what countries Rainbow Railroad operates out of? So they specifically have offices that I know of in Canada and America. And they try and get people to these places because like they're generally considered the most free and stuff, and you can have most freedom of expression. But they will try and get you to places where you can be relocated and stuff. So their goal is to help give you options and stuff and help you in relocation, or to help refugees in their relocation processes to get to where they think are, to where Rainbow Railroad believes that this individual is going to be the most safest. So yeah, I hope that answers your question about where they're located and stuff and how they might move people to different places. I do have a piece of media that I'm going to show probably tomorrow or Wednesday about an individual's kind of own personal story and their own testimony. You guys can see it probably live right now on the campaign page. So if you click on the link ending in, I believe it's MDI, if I do !cause here, that is the wrong one. Whoops. If I do Rainbows in July, if you click on that link, MDCI, the one ending in MDCI, that'll take you to our campaign on Tiltify. And if you scroll down, in the media section, there is Oh, is it? I'm pretty sure it's Tiffany's. Let me actually see this because I'm forgetting the name of it. Who it is off the top of my head? Olivia's story, and that is a testimony of Rainbow Railroad's effort to bring a trans woman to Canada. Um, so if you'd like to get a head start on viewing that media, I'll be showing that on Wednesday or Tuesday, like I said, um, and that can help give an idea of where people go and the kind of work that Rainbow Railroad does and how they get them to safety and give them avenues of escape from persecution. So that's our little talking point. Again, exclamation point donate or Rainbows in July gets you to our campaign, but donate will directly take you to a donate link on Tiltify if you'd like. And if you'd like to donate without leaving the platform and you're on Twitch, check below the stream for a little purple button that says donate to charity, and that'll allow you to donate to Rainbows and Rainbow Railroad. That one's a little bit interesting. I have that goal for Rainbow for the one on Twitch set to $25 just because it's hard to like mesh two campaigns together, one for Tiltify and one for Twitch, right? But $25 would still be amazing. So I think that's all I have to talk about. So I got to get back to working on art here. So that's our background done. I think that's all I really need to do. Now we're gonna hide the background for now since I won't really need it. But I do need to get our actual line arts done. So we're gonna do our plain art. I'll probably separate line art from the faces as well, but should be working just fine here. So let's do a 10 line art here. Actually, I kind of still want to do like a big line art for the face, I think. Do 15 here. Let me check some too as well. Yeah, NARP has line art visible in most of their art as well. That's one of the things I've been trying to get better at is doing line art in a way that's like true to the character. If that makes sense. That sometimes can be hard because I usually use a lot of line art and then some characters just don't. And I'm like, oh. That's decent. I might want to fix that a little bit though. Throughout our event, I'll probably be listening to a lot of ocremix.org. So if you guys want to head over to that and check out any of the songs you're listening to, I don't have the radio listed up on screen, but I'll try and do my best to call out songs I remembered to. Right now, you guys are listening to Rebellion, which is from the Final Fantasy II Rebellion remix soundtrack. This is by Brandon Strader, Chernabog, and Detective Tuesday. And like I said, if you want to find any of these songs, head on over to ocremix.org and check out the titles that I give you. It should hopefully help you find some fun music. It's kind of a thick line in the middle there, but I might make that work. Am I drawing with my mouse? No. I know people who can, and I respect the heck out of them. I am not one of those folks, thankfully, because I would probably be a little bit more insane than I already am if I were capable of doing that. I draw with a tablet, but I do look in my monitor because this tablet does not have a screen to draw with. So it's kind of like if you're drawing on like a paper and pencil, and you couldn't look at your paper. You had to like look at like a mirror reflection almost, like a double inverted mirror reflection. It's weird. I've gotten used to it over the years, and I really actually do like it. But it is not perfect at times. I'll tell you that. All right, let's draw these little antenna. Like an 8, I think, here. I used to do a lot of vector line arting, which really does help a lot of times if you like really need something to be perfect. Vector line art can allow you that super fine control after you put down a line to like really make it how you want it to be. But oh man, did that increase my drawing time like by 10 hours at least. So we're trying now just to do direct rasterized line art. If those words don't make a lot of sense, imagine vector line art as lines with math that are lines that are made up of math, if that makes sense. Because the way vectors work is they're all just points defined in space by math. Whereas rasterized is you taking your pencil and actually like moving that around, and still guided by math in the sense you're using a computer, sure, but less reliant on that exact precision that you get out of a vector line art. I think it's pretty good, actually. What I might do is I might actually lower the opacity even further, so I'm like actually looking at what I'm actually ending up with here, rather than getting confused and seeing my old previous messy sketch. I do use my mouse at times, like if you see me doing finer control of like rotating and stuff, it's usually me swapping my hand over to my mouse, but I could totally do this with my pen here as well. You can kind of see that, actually, I don't know if it's easy to tell when I'm using my mouse and stuff and when I'm using my pen, but if you really wanted an indication of when I'm using my mouse, if I'm ever drawing with my pen versus my mouse, what you just saw right there was my mouse. My pen, however, is usually very light and introduces a lot of the pen texture that you usually have, or the brush texture or whatever I'm using. But the pen, my mouse is very much just 100% always on pressure. But having a pen gives you the ability to use pressure, which is really nice. It's not a bad line, actually. It kind of is a bad line because it doesn't come out of the other part of the line technically right. That's one thing I got really good at, or need to get better at, I should say, is that if I have a break in my line somewhere to like put something in front perspective wise, sometimes I can have a really hard time getting the subsequent line of where it connects back up to the actual rest of like wherever you're going with that line. I can have a hard time making that come out of the same way, like same direction and angle. It's pretty good. I'll be comfortable with that. And worst comes to worst, I change my mind and I come back and start editing even further. I do that a lot, trust me. That's decent, I think. I might change this chin liner. It's very prominent. Let's do 12. One thing I like to do too as well is if I'm going in and re-editing something, I'll usually just throw it on a new layer and then redraw over top and then go back and erase what I didn't like. So that way I still have my guide of where I was going, how it was drawn, but I can start to make the edits I need to. And one of the cool things about art too is if anybody ever is thinking about getting into this, if this is an inspiration and stuff, you can find your own journey. Doing art is weird, it's complicated, it's different for everybody in some ways, and similar in others. There's only one wrong way to do art, and that is by using generative AI. And I'm serious about that. Even my chuckle there is just because I'm being funny and making a joke necessarily out of it, but I am deadly serious when I say that. The only wrong way to do art is to not do it yourself. If you want robots to do art, they got to think first. They got to think for themselves first, I think. Because doing art is an expression of your inner thoughts and the fun you get to have with creating something. And you can't necessarily do that if all you're doing is having an advanced set of ins and outs. Or, excuse me, inputs and outputs is technically what an AI is these days. Do I like that? Kind of. I need to bring this up a little bit here. You just finished your thumbnail. Good job, Bogues. What kind of videos are going to be about? Keep clankers out of art, true. I mean, okay, well, I say that, but like, what I really think is, if robots ever start to actually think for themselves, I will gladly welcome them into art. These days, they do not think for themselves. Super Battle Golf compilation, my friends, nice. Is that why you were streaming that a couple days ago? I remember seeing that late at night. I was like, that's kind of cool. I was a little too tired to tune in, though. Nice. Nice, nice. Let me go to 8 again, like I wanted to do for the first thing. Well, I hope it turns out to be a lot of fun experiences for you, and you upload it whenever. as of late, this is just a crazy tangent, but as of late, I've been watching the original run of Evangelion because I'm gonna go watch the movie on Wednesday, the end of Evangelion. I'm really excited for that, so I'm getting caught up to make sure I remember everything that I need to. And before I started stream, I was thinking to myself, I really should just like play some Evangelion music, and I was like, wait a minute, no, that'd give me very hard copyright striked. So that idea went out the window pretty fast. Fingers here a little bit. Oh, it's almost a good line. Almost. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to change it, I think. We're going to transform it a little bit here. Good to see you too, Bugs. Thanks for stopping by. You have a good rest of your Monday, gamer. We're doing pretty good, I think, right now. We're getting our clothes done here for NARP. Oh my goodness. I don't know why, but whenever I draw like a wavy line, this always happens where I have a hard time of actually getting it to work. There we go. That works pretty good, I think. There we go. Alright, I think that's NARP pretty well defined, I think. Oh, well, the tail's not going to be visible from this perspective necessarily. Especially because I'm going for a very cartoonish style here. But we do got to do a face liner here. That's pretty good, I think, here. Ah, I love drawing lines sometimes. I'll make that work. It was almost really good, that line a couple lines ago. This one I could work with, I think, too. That's a really actually. Okay, there we go. I think it's pretty good. I might want to clean up the mouth a little bit, maybe use a different brush here. Make sure I use my turnip brush here. Yeah, it's a little better, I think. I think it's a pretty sufficient or satisfying NERP right there. All right, now I need to do a doza. Was I using 8? I was using 8 for the body and then 10 for the 10 or 12 for the face. Sure, I'm getting the necklace right here. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm just gonna go for a smaller pen here on the amulet. Especially because there's an inner amulet I gotta get done too. There we go. Welcome back from ads, y'all. Didn't miss anything really. We're still drawn. Okay, this hand's gonna be one of the hardest parts. I'm gonna drop myself down a little bit on my pen here. Not the best at drawing hands these days either, but I try my best. Wider here, I think. It's not bad. I might need to, I might like twist it all a little bit here if that makes sense. So I'm gonna grab these lines here. Bring them up a little bit here, I think. Okay. How much time we have left here today? At about, say, like 40 minutes I'll probably go for. But then I'll probably have a liner done. I'm gonna go for a slightly rounder and less pointy boob that I kind of drew first here. That's better. I don't think it's a terrible pose. I might revisit that later. We'll see. Be kind of a. I can be a stickler for getting it right. So I'm kind of imagining the strap's going to have like two sections, and it's basically going to be like a rolled loop of fabric, if that makes sense. So I'm going to kind of draw like this, I think. That main line down there I just drew. This one here. Constituting a lot of the work to make up the imagination, if that makes sense. Yeah. I'll draw arm. Then it all comes down to hand, really, right now. It's always about hand. It's not too bad. I might make the hands bigger over time. We'll have to see. They're not bad. Okay. Now we're going to draw the head and the hair. And I'll do the test face. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do depending on how much time we have, I'm not sure if I'm going to do work on the background next or get the colors started and work. Or like the flats going for our characters here. Okay, first and foremost, I want to get this hair down here. By the way, shout out to the Dr. Mario remix soundtrack we got going right now. This is Burning Up. And this is by DJ Red Light. Okay, there we go. I also got to remember to draw in her earrings, so I'm going to pull out the reference here and make sure I have that next to me. I'm going to go for actually a slimmer, still a number 8. Head width, headline width. Might be too big, actually. It's a pretty decent line, actually. Let's take this one. Okay. I was a little worried when I started working on a doza here, and I was like, oh man, I gotta get that entire piece of line art to look consistent for her head, and I'm like, ugh. It's always the worst for me. I'm not the best at circles, so like it can sometimes throw me for loops. But I try my best. It generally comes out okay. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. Let's work on those ears. I was tempted to like copy and mirror this section here, but I think it's just gonna be more fun to draw it by hand here. Another little random story for y'all. I was fortunate enough to have some friends who were showing off the original Alien and Aliens back to back on the weekend, and I'd never seen either of them before, so I was really excited to go into them. And Alien is really good. Ridley Scott put in a lot of work to make that interesting, albeit a very grisly film. Um, I think it's most fun when the xenomorph is fully evolved into an adult, or at least like a teen, where it's got its actual body. I had a great time watching that one. But James Cameron, I don't know why the fuck they brought him in for Aliens, but that was a weird film. I did enjoy it like for like the majority of its runtime, but like a lot of decisions had me confused. I think in particular I wasn't expecting it to be an action flick more so than an action horror flick more so than action or a horror thriller. I was kind of surprised too when I was watching. I was like, oh wow, there's some actors I recognize from other James Cameron works. I think, if I'm not mistaken. In particular, Michael, who plays Kyle Reese and Hicks in respective films, or Kyle Reese in Terminator, and then Hicks in Aliens is very interesting and a very interesting character. I was kind of surprised to see him like that. I was like, I wonder if James Cameron is basically just essentially typecasting him, which would suck. Because I know he didn't actually really like playing Terminator. Apparently didn't want to be stuck as an Arnold runner-up, essentially, I think, or something like that. That's what I was reading around in some of the blogs that he wrote. But I had a good time watching those films. They were fun. I was glad to watch them with other folks. Made it a very fun experience. And in particular, too, I was talking with the person who hosted the whole event is one of my good time Halo fans, Sound Ninja, and me and Sound were just tossing it back and forth to each other about how much it was kind of fun to like really put in perspective how much Aliens, the second flick, really inspired Bungie in their marine design and their design language for the entire campaign of Halo CE. I think we're going to stick to 8 for our line art here, unless I might go 6 here. Let's see. And I might try just doing the lips as color later on. I'm not sure, but I'll leave the line art in. Or I'll leave the little sketch line here, hopefully, and then I'll go over it later with color. think my goal for after stream is to get a little bit, maybe just a little more background work done on this. And maybe do some line art for any future projects we got coming up here as part of Art Fight. Okay. We are coming up on like 10 minutes here left in the stream. Might go for that extra 10 that I was talking about to give us an extra total 40 from when I last said it. Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. Hell yeah. I think this is a ton of fun. Alrighty. I'm gonna save this. I think before I enter the final stretch, I want to make sure I remind you all guys why we're here still. With Rainbows in July, this is our charity event for the summer, and we are raising money for Rainbow Railroad. They are who we're benefiting. Their goal, Rainbow Railroads, is to make sure that LGBTQI folk who are facing persecution have pathways to safety. And this includes by doing things like providing resources, offering guidance through relocation, and generally being an advocate at government legislation for the queer folk who are being persecuted. And I think at a time where the American government, the Canadian government, and governments of power where people are free are trying to silence trans people, queer people, and minority life, it is now more important than ever to stand with yourself and with those you find yourself in common with, and in with the minorities. So since I'm pan, I'm really just here to like make sure that folks like me aren't silenced by governments, and we're gonna raise money for that. So if you'd like to support us, check out the pinned links in either of the chats, or if you're on Twitch in particular, you can click that little purple donate to charity button that's below the stream, and that'll take you directly to a way you can support Rainbow Railroad. Welcome in, Book Because Yes. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for a cheeseburger. I could go for one of those right now. Probably make me pass out afterwards, but I could definitely eat a cheeseburger. We're in the final little bit of here, a stream, Book, but I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you heard the little spiel here, our lovely little spiel here of our charity event. And if you'd like to support, and if you can, feel free to. Let me also make it clear that as well, I know that times are tough for everybody. I'll probably donate a little bit towards the end of stream, or towards the end of the event. But even then, I can't really spare much either. I'm trying to make sure I'm staying safe. And so if you need to stay safe and you can't donate, spread the word. And even if spreading the word might make it a situation where you cannot maintain your safety, don't worry. That is totally okay. I appreciate the viewership, and I appreciate you stopping by and having fun with us here as we do some art for Art Fight and raise money for a good cause and awareness as well. So, thank you guys for being here. And thank you for supporting me as a streamer who likes to do things to support other folks. Alrighty. I was kind of thinking maybe I should do... Oh, you know what? Before I forget, I think our last thing we're going to do here is the earrings before I forget for Adoza. Let me lock this in. Let me do an earring layer. So I didn't in particular sketch this out, so we're going to have to do this by the seat of our pants. A burger that is entirely made of cheese would be very, very hard to eat. Just saying. But there are things that do things. There are meals out there in the world that kind of do something similar. I've never had them myself, but I can't really name any off the top of my head. But you could probably find some like interesting examples of things that are made of like uh with a lot of cheese. Ba-ba-da-ba. There you go. It's a nice little star. Well, this one's very weird and ugly, but I'm gonna leave it like that. I think it's a good representation of how sometimes drawing can be, or sometimes things just look a little funky. Okay. Now we gotta do the individual little pieces of jewelry here. And really quickly too, I think before we end stream, I will plan on drawing a little bit more here. Probably do this on the actual line art here. Actually, I'll do it on the face as well. Why not? That works, I think. I don't know what you're saying, Recluse. You're being a little too random for me to understand. Alright, that's pretty good, I think. Alrighty. Let's see, is there anything else I need to get done here? Let's do the rings and stuff before I forget. And then, in particular as well, let me get the belts for her. Adoza wears a belt. I don't think, yeah, I can't really see it here in the reference that I have here on the piece of art, but I'm looking at some more references for Adoza here, and she has a belt that I need to get done here as well before I forget. Thank you, book. You can still hang out and lurk, Jim. I don't even, you're here, you're enjoying some increased awareness about what organizations help queer people out in the world and stuff. That's not bad. I'm just like, I just genuinely didn't know what to say to your other sentence. I was like, I don't know what to say to that. So I said as much. I'm like, I don't know what to say to that. a little too random. Okay, there. I'm gonna put this line here. Okay, there's that belt done, and then I was gonna do the jewelry next on the hands. We'll do earring and jewelry liner. That's what I'm gonna call this. And then some particular here, Doza has 2 rings on her left hand, on her pinky and her ring finger. I'm gonna draw those in here. Hope they get donations. Me too. I'm hoping we can raise money for them too. I mean, I think that'd be pretty awesome. I think. If we don't, like I said, one of my big goals here is just to be an awareness factor and to remind people that, hey, one of the motivating factors for this really, and this kind of like tells how I think about society and stuff, is I think when Pride Month is done, it can be really tough for people to be reminded that, hey, just because Pride Month's over, it doesn't mean we should stop raising awareness for queer people, right? I think is like one of the big things that needs to be taught. So I really wanted to make sure that as I did this, I was reminding people that, hey, being queer is something that's part of life. Being lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, intersex, asexual, agender, anything that falls under the spectrum of being non-heterosexual and gender non-conforming is the other one I want to go for, but it's like being different is okay. Is kind of like the thing we got to remind people of. And another big thing that's important this month too. And while I'm not necessarily the most qualified to talk about this, I'm going to mute this while I talk. Distracting me. While maybe not one of the things that I'm most qualified to talk about, July is Disability Pride Month. And as further extension, I think it's Disability Awareness Month, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a time where we come off the coattails of a month that is maybe a little too exclusive to the LGBTQI folk, right? Like we all deserve our spotlight. So like everybody gets their own month and stuff, but like realistically, Pride Month and the time when Pride Month is not being celebrated is still a time when we can be prideful about who we are. July, for folks of July, it's officially Disability Pride Month. So you can take pride and solace in that. You can fight for your rights. But just because once this month ends does not mean that you should stop doing that. For anybody who is disabled and stuff and has to deal with the hardships, the hurdles that come with that because of how society doesn't always support its minorities the best. We got to keep fighting for those in times when it's not publicly put on display for everybody to see. So outside of Pride Month, outside of Disability Pride Month, outside of minority recognition months and stuff like that, be prideful. Take pride in who you are. Raise money for causes that respect the people that you are, respect you as a culture and stuff, and help you to lift us all out of squalor and poverty and situations where we're taken advantage of. So be an ally. Be an ally to yourself and to others, really. That's kind of what this event is all about. It's hoping to help celebrate. Be gay, be proud, be proud. Take that word of pride and hold it close and make sure you're always prideful. Don't let anybody squander it. These times are tough. I'm hoping to be a little bright spot in that and reminding people that it's okay to be prideful and that it's okay to be who you are. And we gotta remember that. We gotta take that pride. We gotta spread it all around, all year round. So yeah, I think without much further ado, I think that's where we're gonna leave it off today. We've done a fantastic amount of line work for Narp and Adoza, who is gonna be our first art fight attack of the event. I'm gonna put a little more work in this behind the scenes, like I said. Just we keep things moving along. But right now, I'm gonna go eat lunch. I'm gonna nap a little bit. And then I'll get ready for tomorrow's stream and stuff. So look forward to that tomorrow. Same rough time, around middle of the day Mountain Time, which is about 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and I believe that's 11 a.m. Pacific. Just around there, you can expect to see me. Please keep in mind that for my own my own health and stuff, and my own make sure I'm taking care of myself, I may not start on time. So just look for when the stream goes live, and we'll keep raising money and awareness tomorrow. For now, though, let me see if I can find somebody to raid and somebody we can say hello to. Be proud of who you are. Yes, thank you, Book. Great sentiment. I think we're gonna go say hello to a Kovni. Ooh, wait, they're probably gonna raid out soon, actually, because they just finished their game. So I don't know if there's anybody I can go raid right now. Oh, that's fine. We don't necessarily got to raid everybody, like anybody every day of the week, but let me see if how long are this person's been going for. I haven't raided them in a long while. Well, don't eat the 1x1 Lego bricks in the vending machine. It's true. Take care of yourselves, y'all. Make sure you're eating well, and don't eat any Lego bricks. They're generally not advised as a good source of nutrition, is all I can say. But just be careful. I think we can go say hello to Super Otzel. I haven't rated them in a while. They're playing a spooky horror game called Chronos: The New Dawn. They're a German and English streamer, and they primarily play games on their console. They have a lot of fun over there, so let's go say hello to them. Oh, you know what I never remembered to mention? You guys can scan the QR code on screen if you guys want to get taken to the donate link. I totally forgot about that, but it's been there, so I mean, if anybody took advantage of it, you definitely can. Alrighty, but we're gonna say hello to Otzel. Come up with whatever raid call you want. And I will see you guys over there, okay? Let me get this started over here. Question is, do they have an underscore? No, they don't. Perfect. Alrighty. So be kind to Super Otzel. Otzel doesn't have any pronouns listed, but they're from Germany, so say hello, have fun, be kind, enjoy some Chronos: The New Dawn. I'll be back tomorrow for more art. Until then, stay safe, enjoy yourselves, and as always, never goodbye. Just see y'all later. Happy Rainbows in July Day 1, everybody. See you tomorrow.